Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org. And this show in particular, correct me if I'm Norm, I'm your host, Norm. I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Debbie Hecht.
Yay.
Debbie, how are you? And congratulations, you just won some public office.
I did. I was just elected to the town board. I know. Very exciting.
A, thank you for your service. B,
Thank
my
you.
sympathies.
Thank you.
And what made you think that was a smart thing to do?
That's a simple question with not so simple answer.
We've got an hour.
Yeah, we do. I was one of those ones who woke up on the day after Election Day last year and really had this feeling of, kind of despair, and also a sense that I knew that I couldn't make a difference on any kind of large scale on what was going to be happening from that point on in the country. But if I kind of narrowed my focus to the hyper-local, I knew that I could make a difference.
Right.
And some of that work could be community work. Some of that work could be with the organization that I co-founded, BeckHook Pride, our Pride organization. And I thought that it also dawned on me that some of the work could be as an elected official locally. So then it was just a question of when would my moment come. And it just so happened that Chauncey Walker announced not too long after that he would be stepping down from the board. And there was the opportunity to consider running, and so I did.
Right.
And that's how I got elected.
And who did you bounce that idea off of before you really said, okay, this is definitely something I'm going to do?
Initially, it was Michael Slavey, because I'm also on the Rhinebeck Democratic Committee.
Okay.
So that was an easy, that was really easy to know, like, okay, Michael's the one that I should talk to. And he was great.
And he's the head of the Democratic Committee.
He's the chair of the Rhinebeck Dem Committee. Right. And he was amazing to talk to. And, kind of made it clear what that path would look like. And then I also reached out to the town supervisor, Elizabeth Spinzia, to tell her that at some point I am planning on running for the board. And this was before Chauncey had stepped down. And then everything kind of fell into place.
Wow.
Yeah.
But did you have competition? You ran unopposed, right?
I ran unopposed. All of us running.
That's good luck.
Yes. So all of us running locally were running unopposed.
There were, for the town board, there were write-ins, like 6 or 8 write-ins.
Yes.
For each board member. Any idea who got those votes?
No.
Because nobody sort of ran a write-in campaign that I was aware of for town board.
There was an orchestrated writing campaign, but it
sucked.
It was unexpected.
I don't know who it was for, but when you can see the results, and it's like, oh, you got 900 votes, and let's write in got 4.
Right. So I think it's behind us, and we're kind of moving forward. But I've heard that for every election, there are a number of write-in votes, and they could be like for Mickey Mouse or someone's next door neighbor or whoever, that they're kind of going to vote for some people on the ticket, and then they'll do write-ins at, for other people on the ticket.
And do you know, can the public know who got those write-in votes?
I think so.
Right.
I'm not sure.
So do you know?
I don't.
Right.
Huh.
Now I want to know who was behind this really dismal, poor, ridiculously ineffective campaign for write-ins. And sorry to hear that. You know the person who that write-in campaign was meant to help? Who was running?
Against me?
Yeah.
I don't know who was running against. For the town board, it was just me and Dana. And then Elizabeth was also up for re-election.
Oh, so it wasn't writing a campaign for town board.
Right.
You're talking about the writing campaign for supervisor.
Right.
Right, which is a whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing, and it's behind us, and we're looking forward to the bright future now.
Oh, so, good. Let's talk about that forever.
Let's talk about a bright future.
Yeah. And what are the things you had? Did you have some sort of platform that you spelled out or enumerated?
Well, I mean, a part of my platform is really that my community and organizing people together in community is totally my jam. It's what I've done with BeckHook Pride. It's what I've done. I had like a knitting group where I was teaching people how to knit in the library at Star Library. I'm an avid knitter, so I was doing that for a while. I did some volunteer work at Star Library, which felt really community-minded. And even, I worked there at the circulation desk. And that also feels like it's such a good place to get to know your community when you're there at the library.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I got to know people, who are my neighbors, who I didn't really know that well before. And you develop good friendships with people just from being in Star. Everyone who walks in there, it's like as soon as they come in, they're in a better mood. They're like, I'm at the library. And it has this transformative effect on people. And it's just so great. So you're seeing people who are really happy to be there, and then you're chatting books and getting book recs from different people. And it was really great. So there's that. And so, I do want to try to get the community more involved in local governance. I was also on, and am still on, the communications committee for the town board, which was all about getting the community more engaged with what the town board is doing. And we send out newsletters, and we also created these informal events where people could come and not necessarily go to the official town board meetings, but they could go somewhere. We had one at Morton, we had another one at Star, and just ask questions. And the whole town board would be there, and they can just chat with them or ask for clarification on something that they might not have understood that was going on. I love these kinds of things.
Right.
And so this is something that I want to do more of. And I have this fantasy. Did you ever watch Gilmore Girls?
No.
Okay. So on Gilmore Girls, they live in this fictional town of Stars Hollow, right? And it's like a tiny town. And their town meetings are packed. They're always packed no matter what. And they're in there and they're kind of having popcorn, and it's like entertainment. But I love that they all go and they're all participating in this. And the guy who runs them is totally loathsome, but nevertheless, they're all there, and he still is doing this great stuff for the town or their village or whatever it is. And this is what I want. I want this kind of community involvement where people are just there and they're engaged. And do
you have raffles at the town meetings, or serve beer?
Yeah. I'm ready to serve popcorn,
right?
Or do something. I don't know what it is going to take to get people to be more involved. It's a hard thing to kind of get started with. It's a hard habit to get into.
Right.
But once you do it, once you're in the habit of it, it's actually really cool. And
I love everything you're saying.
Okay.
As an advertising guy, I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. You're in a whole campaign about what a soap opera the whole thing is and how much fun
it is.
Bring your popcorn.
It really is.
Because there's going to be a fight tonight.
Well, and not even that. I mean, it's sometimes there is high drama, but there's a lot of humor, and there's a lot of collaboration too. I mean, there are some events that really do bring people in because they have passionate feelings about it. So I have been at some town board meetings where, the board members and the people who are there are really kind of talking together to work towards a solution that works best for everyone. And that's kind of magical, that can happen, but you have to show up.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's the perception.
I don't think that's the perception
that
either.
Your voice could actually be persuasive on a local topic in a town board meeting.
Right.
I don't think that's what people think.
I know. But it really can be.
Well, so now I want to do the ad campaign. I think people think of it as sort of drudgery, and they already figured it all out.
Right.
It's in the bag.
As Michael Slaby told me initially when I was talking about the desire to run for town board, I'm sure I had, stars in my eyes of like, oh, the town board. And he was like, listen, a lot of what you're going to be talking about on the town board is like filling potholes, just prepare yourself for that. And it's true, like a lot of it is just the daily maintenance stuff that goes into making sure that everything's functioning the way that it should. But that's not all of it. And to the extent that one has to sit through that kind of stuff, like the pothole kind of discussions, it's, I would say the meetings run for about an hour. So we're talking 1 hour a month. 1 hour a month, 12 hours a year. It's not a huge commitment.
Well, so you've been on the town board now for like 3 weeks?
I haven't been sworn in yet, but I've been going for, since I decided to run. So I've been attending for about a year.
When do you get sworn in?
I'm not sure. It could be at the next town board meeting, which is on December 8th, folks. You might want to, if you want to go and see something really amazing, December 8th, 6:00, town hall.
Amazing.
Right?
But you were elected like 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
And you say it's an hour a month. But have you started getting emails from people already, from the public?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because your email is on the site.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. That's wild.
Yeah.
My own personal email?
No, I think it's at the Rhinebeck, town.
Oh, so they made an email for me already.
Unless I saw it.
That's amazing.
But I'm thinking, eventually, you're going to start getting a lot of emails from the public saying, why has my pothole been fixed? Why is my neighbor making so much noise with their leaf blower?
Right.
Or whatever.
Great.
And that it's going to be a hell of a lot more than an hour a month.
For me, but not for people who just want to go.
I see.
That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So, for people who want to go and kind of watch their town governance in action, that is only an hour commitment a month.
And then does the board meet in non-public meetings, sort of other weeks, other times?
No. In fact, there are open meeting laws. So you can't have a quorum unless it's an open meeting that's been scheduled and that's open to the public. So it has to be advertised so people know ahead of time. A quorum on the town board is 3 people. So you can't go with 2 town board members to Bread Alone and get breakfast. So only 2 people can be together. There's an exception, and that is when you go into executive session. And there's only a few justifications for going into executive session, and that's when the town board can meet privately behind closed doors. So one of the examples of why they might go into executive session is because they're meeting with their attorney and it's, it's privileged. So that kind of thing. But so there are very few exceptions. Mostly it's to the public.
Right.
Yeah.
So did Slaby have or Spencia, did they have some idea for you, some estimate as to how many hours a month it was going to be?
No.
For your involvement?
No. Once I'm on, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, it is what you make of it. I mean, you can always do more. And there's a lot, as, the newest person, there's a lot I have to learn. And so I'm happy to kind of put in that time. But also just to sell the idea of showing up as a spectator, my 13-year-old goes and is also riveted. We're sitting there together. We're writing each other notes while this is going on. It's a lot more fun than people think it's going to be.
I can't wait to see your campaign to swell attendance at the monthly town board meeting.
This may be the whole thing. I mean, this right here, right now, could be the entire campaign.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but what could you do? When, you could, create a Facebook event.
Right.
You could get email lists and email people like, hey.
Yes. I plan to hold office hours. I mean, that's one thing that I plan to do in the beginning so people can come and talk to me and get to know me, whether or not, they know me.
Will you literally have an office?
I'll have an office, not literally, no. I mean, there's places to work at,
right,
but not like my office.
There's
not like an office dedicated area just to me. Yeah.
You never know. I mean, some towns, I'm sure, the town board members get offices and whatnot.
Yeah. I think it's just Elizabeth. Just our town supervisor has an office.
Right. Then across the street, the mayor has an office.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's such a strange setup here.
Yeah.
And somebody explained to me, like, that's New York state law. That's the way it works, is that towns have, villages have a mayor, and then the bigger town has a supervisor.
I know. Yeah. I had never heard of a town supervisor until I moved to Rhinebeck.
Right.
Yeah.
And when was that? When did you move here?
We moved here at the very last day, December 31st, 2020. So we moved here on New Year's Eve.
Sweet.
So January 1st, 2021 was our first day waking up in our new adopted home of Rhinebeck.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you expected it would be a permanent move?
Yes.
And where'd you move from?
I moved from the city. I expect from New York City. And everyone from New York City just calls it the city. So I expected it to be a permanent move, but everyone who knows me did not expect it to be a permanent move because I was born and raised in New York City. So everyone thought, like, Debbie is not going to last forever in the country. Like, this is not going to happen. But when I woke up here that January 1st, 2021, I knew I was home. I just thought, like, this is amazing. I'm waking up in paradise.
Right.
This is so beautiful. And I was ready.
And did you ever see Green Acres? The TV show with Zsa Zsa Gabor?
It was a little before my time. Yeah.
It moves from like Park Avenue to like, I don't even know what the town is called. It's a rural town. Was there culture shock that you really didn't expect?
No. I mean, there's culture. There's a difference in culture, but it wasn't unexpected. And I had spent time in the country and I had traveled in life. So even though I've grown into someone that is very much a homebody, I don't travel that much anymore. But I feel like I've seen enough of the world to have the sense that, different communities operate in their own way. But basically, people are people. Right.
So why did you all choose Rhinebeck?
I chose Rhinebeck. There were a few reasons. One is that I knew Rhinebeck because I have family who's lived in Pine Plains for decades. And so every time I would go and stay with them in Pine Plains, like, there's a limit to what you can do in Pine Plains, right? So we would come and we would go to Red Hook and Rhinebeck. So I knew it from that. And I'm also, again, an avid knitter. So sheep and wool, which I know a lot of locals do not like. But for me, it's my favorite time of year. I just can't believe that I'm lucky enough to live where sheep and wool actually happens.
And is it a 3-day festival?
It is. I think it's 2 days.
Do you go every day?
I go Saturday and Sunday, and I think it is open on Friday, but more for like people who are there to take classes. It's not like the big shopping fest, the big yarn fest that it is on Saturday and Sunday.
And have you taken classes here? I think they used to have classes, or at least groups, in the back of Stickle.
Right. So by the time I moved up here, there were no, like, the yarn section in Stickle was small, and there wasn't.
Shame.
Yeah. So there were no classes there, and, it wasn't really happening anymore. And I think it's kind of crazy that here we are, like Rhinebeck, like yarn center of the universe. Like, And we don't have a yarn store.
Right. There was a yarn store for a second right on East Market Street.
Yes. So there was Loopy Mango. Loopy Mango's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And they only sell their own kind of yarn. And I think that it's hard for a yarn store like that to succeed because knitters are very particular about their yarn and they want a variety of different brands. And so I feel like it would need to be more of like a traditional yarn store and not so much like a just one brand yarn store.
It was a very cute store.
Adorable. And I love their stuff and I love their yarn.
Right. Yeah. And so they still exist somewhere, just not here?
Yes, they exist somewhere. I don't know where they have like brick and mortar stores, but before they had a store here, I knew them from online.
Right.
And they're adorable. And they have like they do a lot of like chunky yarn and patterns that you can make with chunky yarn, and like bright colors and all of this. And it's fun because like the chunkier the yarn, the faster it knits up. So you can literally make a cardigan in an afternoon. I mean, it's just like, it's really fun.
What a blast.
I know.
And what are your favorite things to knit?
My favorite things to knit now are sweaters. So I like making my own clothes.
For you or for your family or friends?
No, for me. I make sweaters for me. If I'm making something for someone else, it's going to be like an accessory. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like a scarf or
a hat, mittens. I've made some blankets for people, like throw blankets. It's kind of too hard a sweater is a hard thing to make for someone because the style and the fit, like you have to get those right. And it's such a time investment and it's not cheap. I mean, it's really expensive to make your own sweater. So when you factor in like the cost of the yarn and the time and your labor that goes into it, the chances of it hitting the mark perfectly are so slim that it's almost like not worth it. So if you knit someone a hat and they wear it every once in a while, it's like not a big deal. But if you make someone a sweater and it's just in the back of their closet.
What a waste.
It's gutting. Yeah.
And so of the sweaters that you make for yourself, I mean, you must have like a dozen or two by now.
Yes.
What percentage of them really hit the mark? And you're knitting for yourself.
Yes.
But still.
I'm going through a thing with my own knitting where I'm trying to find the exact right size of like oversized so that it's just oversized enough without being voluminous. So I'm currently knitting a sweater that I decided to make a little big. And I had gotten to the point where everything was done on the body. I was already working on the sleeves and I tried it on and it was so huge and ridiculous that I couldn't live with it. So, my friend came up for Sheep and Wool and I was showing it to her. We were trying to figure out, what can I do? And the solution was to literally take it all out and start over again and knit a smaller size.
Well, in my imagination, when you're knitting a sweater, you sort of start at the neck and you work down to the waist.
There are and those are called top bottom sweaters, but there are bottom up.
Right.
There's top down and bottom up sweaters.
What about side to side? I'm just thinking if you made this too big, if you'd been knitting side to side, you could have pulled out like 2 rows, say,
right,
and see if that made it less voluminous.
Well, so what I actually did, I'm afraid that this is getting too technical and it's going to be really boring for everyone and they're going to be like, fast forward through the knitting stuff. But what I first did is there's color work on top. So what we first did is we took it all the way out to the color work and eliminated the final round of increases because if you're knitting from the collar down, you need to make it bigger as you get down, the lower you go in order to fit your body. So we did that. I eliminated the decreases. And when it was time to separate for the sleeves, because at some point you mark off stitches and put them on waste yarn that are going to become your sleeves. So you just have like the trunk of the body that you continue knitting, and then you come back to the sleeves later. And so we went, she helped me go all the way back, eliminate the decreases. And when I did separate for the sleeves, I had such a weird number of stitches that, because now I was off pattern. I like went rogue, you know? And so I couldn't figure out where to separate for the sleeves, because the pattern tells you, you know, like knit this many stitches and then mark these off for the sleeves. And I couldn't do that because I had such a weird number of stitches. So I was just like, I don't want to mess with this. I'm just going to go all the way back to the beginning.
And so when you're doing that, do you have like a piece of paper and a pencil? You're keeping track of it?
Yeah. I'm keeping track of it.
So there's a lot of math involved.
There is a lot of math involved. In fact, I just discovered that there is a book that I want to get called Math for Knitters. And I thought that's amazing that somebody figured out that we need this book, like desperately. And so there's this knitter, and she's also a mathematician, and she was like, I'm gonna help you guys. Here's the book that you need.
I love that.
I know.
That is so esoteric.
I know. I have to find this book.
Math for Knitters.
And I know like 10 people who would just be so happy to have it. Like this, right. My knitting friends would be like, oh, finally, this book.
So I'm guessing when you left the city, moved up here, January 1st, 2021.
Yeah.
You left a bunch of knitting friends behind. And did you have any knitting friends here?
No.
And how did it come to pass that you made knitting friends here? I'm assuming you did.
Right. Yeah. No, I have. So one of the ways that it came to pass is that I decided to teach a Knitting 101 course at Star Library. So this was a class for someone, it could be for anyone, like people who know how to knit could just come and knit. But this was also a class for people who had never held knitting needles in their life. So it was for them on up. And through that class, there were some people there who could knit, but they had put their projects away in a bag in their closet, and like a decade had gone by. And they thought, let me take this down. You know, now there's this beginning knitting class. I can go. I could relearn all the stuff that I forgot. I'm rusty. I could get back in the flow of things. And from that, I have found a group of knitters that I now meet every week. And we knit together. And they've also become really dear friends.
Love that.
Yeah.
And when you were describing this sweater, it was too voluminous. And you said, so we went back and did this.
Oh, who's we?
Yeah.
Okay. So like one of my best knitting friends was Ruby's pre-K teacher.
Okay.
And that's a friendship that like started when Ruby was in her class.
How old's Ruby now?
Ruby's 13. So this is when Ruby was 4.
Okay.
So Ruby's pre-K teacher is named Beth, and she's become a really close friend through knitting. And she has a daughter who is going to be a senior next year. And once her daughter graduates, Beth is going to leave the city and come up to the Hudson Valley as well and live up here. But in the meantime, every sheep and wool, she's been coming up to stay with me since I've been here. Just amazing.
Oh my God.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know.
And so I'm thinking of knitters I know here, and they're not that many. There's one, Julie Beth, I think is her name, who for Trump's first election was knitting all these pussy hats.
Yes, I made one for me and one for Ruby.
And she made one. I wanted one for a friend, and we're going to the march and stuff. And she made one. It was the best thing. I said, well, what do I owe you? She said, just make a donation to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
That's what it was. And it was amazing. Yeah, I made one for me, one for Ruby, and one for my mother-in-law, who's in Chicago. So I did 3 in total. But it was absolutely incredible because at that first Women's March, it was like a sea of pussy hats. It was absolutely incredible to see.
It was amazing.
And I'm so happy that like I still have mine. The moths didn't get them. And I now that he's in office again, I keep it out all the time, and it's on a shelf in my room, and I see it, and it's great.
And what do you do to keep the moths from feasting on your creations?
I use totally, you know how everyone wants to use like non-toxic stuff and keep everything like eco Not me. Not when it comes to wool moths. With all other things, yes. But for wool moths, I use this stuff called Slay. I mean, it's so violent and so toxic.
Napalm for moths, Agent Orange for...
Yes. And so that's what I use. And I just make sure that they cannot eat my clothes, anything that I've made, my yarn stash.
You say you use it. Do you soak the yarn or just spray the garments with it?
No, it's just a spray. I spray the garments with it, and I spray my coat closet. And I've been known to use mothballs like near my yarn stash, also totally toxic.
Yeah.
Choices, I mean,
mothballs, napsylene or something.
It's so gross, but such a smell from childhood, right? I mean, for me, it's like
I don't hate it because it's a smell from childhood.
I know, same.
Yeah,
same.
But also, I have not smelled that smell probably in decades.
It's just as gross, but it hasn't changed.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, have you had prior to this strategy? Have you had garments totally destroyed by moths?
Yes. So in the house that we were renting in before we moved into the house that we live in now, it was an old house with 0 closets downstairs and just a few small closets upstairs, very much in keeping with the time, right? Yeah. And so the only closet, there was like a bar to hang stuff up, and it was in a space between the screen door in the backyard to like the actual front door. So there was the front door with a lock, and then there was like a small little mudroom area that had a screen door, and that was the only place to hang stuff up and store stuff. So I did have a few coats there, and that was really stupid. That was like an amateur mistake. I had some coats, and I had a basket where I put some other things that I had knit, like some things especially for Ruby that I really loved. I made Ruby a beautiful cowl with beetles on it.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And that was just destroyed.
And were moths not a problem in the city?
No, they were a problem in the city too. They got into my yarn stash in the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where do you get your yarn from?
I get it. Right now I get a lot of it from Sheep and Wool because it's just really nice to see the yarn in person and touch it and feel it. It's like one of those things where you can't get a sense of it online unless it's a company that I've bought yarn from before and know what it's going to look like and feel like, basically. So there's this one company I'm in love with called La Bien Aimée. And it's in France, unsurprisingly, but Aimée in France, Amy in the U.S., she's actually this beautiful, lovely woman from Kentucky, I think, who ended up moving to France. And I don't know what the connection to France is, but she started a yarn company there, and she's brilliant and phenomenal, and I'm just insane over her yarn. And she is a genius of colors, and so it's fun to fangirl over Aimée.
I love that so much. And have you ever tried making your own yarn?
No, I don't really have an interest in that. I think it's very cool. Good. But
yeah, you seem to revere Le Bien Aimé, who makes this.
Yes,
the manufacturing prowess and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but no,
I don't want to do it myself. I think it's like a whole thing. I just as soon buy it from someone who already mastered it so beautifully, and then do the knitting.
Yeah, that's great. So you mentioned a couple times when we were talking about politics. This thing that you started, BeckHook Pride.
Yes.
What is that?
That is a pride organization. It's Rhinebeck's first ever pride organization. It got its name because it's named after both Rhinebeck and Red Hook. So Beck for Rhinebeck and Hook for Red Hook. And we started about 3.5 years ago. I started it with my friend I co-founded it with my friend who lives in Red Hook. So that's why we got BeckHook, and it serves both towns, and it's been really great. We had our first ever our first ever event was here in Rhinebeck at Church of the Messiah when Father Richard was still there, and he was amazing. And he, my friend Michelle, my co-founder, who lives in Red Hook, she and I got a late start on deciding that we should have a Pride event that June. So it was already spring. And at that point, there are issues with getting permits and permission and all of these things. So we ended up, someone put me in touch with Richard McKeon, Father Richard McKeon. And he was phenomenal. He said, you'll have it here. Have it here. You don't need any permits. You don't need anything. And, and of course he's gay and married and was just a phenomenal person to kind of host this.
And the Episcopalians around here anyway are so chill and progressive. And
yeah, in fact, they used to joke with us that they might have, one or two straight people in their congregation. It was just really funny. But it was great. And, there was a little bit of concern about having it at a church or any kind of religious establishment because so many in the queer community have so much trauma around organized religion. And he made it amazing. He had this welcome to everyone. When they arrived, everybody first went into the chapel, and he addressed them. And they had been doing work in the chapel during that time. There were like renovations and everything. And he said, people always ask me, when is it going to be done? When is the church going to be done? And he said, now it's done. As if like this gathering completed the mission.
Oh, sweet.
I know, it gave me chills. It gives me chills even to talk about it because of what it means and what it meant to this community who, many of whom have been so abused by religious institutions. And this was such a healing moment and a sense of like, you are so valued that you are completing the mission of this church. And that
I love that so much.
It was so beautiful. It was really beautiful.
So you'd arrived here. You weren't here long before you and your friend decided to co-found this thing.
Right.
And what made you think that there was really a need for that in these two small towns?
Well, we didn't really know how the community was going to respond to it. At that first event, we were taking bets. Like, are we just doing all of this for us? Are we going to be the only ones who show up? So we didn't know what the needs would be. But, Ruby had asked me why there were no Pride events where we live. Why did we have to travel to go to a Pride event? And, of course, Ruby, born and raised in New York City, never had to go too far for Pride, you know?
Right.
And it was kind of really mysterious to Ruby why now we would have to travel for it. And I was like, that's a good question. And I don't know, like, what's the right answer to that? There's no good answer other than to say, like, let's fix this problem. Like, there should be Pride in every town. It doesn't matter how big it is. Let's let the community know that, like this, the members of the LGBTQIA plus community are valued here, and that there's a place for people to go and be in safe spaces, but also joyful spaces. And so I think it's a beautiful, wonderful thing for all towns to have it on any scale. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be New York City. And we got a lot more people than we thought we would have. But there are small towns with tiny prides, and like, that's enough.
And how did that unfold? That, from you thinking like, well, it might just be us, to finding a venue at the church in their parking lot and stuff. And then I'm guessing people calling you saying, I hear you doing this.
No, even the day of, we had no idea how many people were going to show up. We were taking bets. We were like, if we get 50, like, that'll be great. And then
how did you publicize it?
We publicized it by putting up physical flyers everywhere. So we literally use Canva to make flyers. And, you can't just put them up on lampposts or anything. They have to be in specific areas. And so they were in stores on bulletin boards. And also, actually, it's coming back to me, I should say, Jean-Michel,
right,
from Megabrain.
Right.
Megabrain was still in Rhinebeck at the time. And we talked to him and we told him what we were planning on doing. And he said that he was going to post about it on his social media. Of course, he has a big following. We had started an Instagram page and a Facebook page, but not that many people knew about us to even find us. So he posted about it. And that's when things really took off, because the people who follow Megabrain were now coming over to BeckHook Pride's page and following us. And then, the more people who are seeing your page, the more people see your page.
Right.
And so that's what happened. But we had no idea how many people would come. And we thought, okay, even if it is just us, even if in the end the people who are putting this on are the only attendees, it will still have been worth it. So we tried to get into that mindset.
But there were tables there and vendors and all kinds of stuff.
No vendors, actually. It was people just giving out information. There were craft tables. Yeah, we had no idea. It could have been crickets.
And they just showed up?
Yeah, in droves.
They're we're going to bring our table and make our crafts and pass that information?
We invited people to come and participate. So, there's an organization called Trans Closet, and they give away free clothes to anyone. But, they're primarily there for people who need gender-affirming clothes. And then Thrift to Fight in Tivoli, they are friends with the Trans Closet people, and they also came and they were giving away free clothes. And then there were other organizations who were there kind of to give information about what they do. And it was great. But I'm not kidding when I say that we had no idea who was actually going to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I haven't have been there. You got a great turnout. It was a beautiful day.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many people showed up? And did you ever get a count?
We never got a count. We know it was in the hundreds,
Easily.
Easily.
Yeah. And just a lively, happy event.
It was great. And it was really great. It's hard to get a count with this as well, because some people come and they're there for a few hours and then they leave, and then other people come. But there were always people around, and everyone was happy. And we made sure that it was family friendly, so that kids could be there with their families. And it was just amazing.
So good.
It was so good.
And so now the organization has that. I'm just going back a few years.
Yeah.
And you're poised to expand and to grow and stuff. How did it proceed from that point? Was that very helpful?
Yeah. I mean, from that point, it was not just me and Michelle anymore. So but we're still small and we still need to grow. And that's been something that is tricky. That's really hard. We need to figure out how to be a bigger organization, and how to fundraise better, and all of these kinds of things. However, we're in a good place. And, one thing that we've learned is that on the whole, our big event is Pride. We've had other local programming, but it just didn't really take off. The one thing that's taken off really nicely is Queer and Trans Game Night, which is every other Friday. It used to be at Megabrain.
Right.
So we are looking for a permanent home for it now. I think we're going to have our next one at the Corner Counter in Red Hook, which is exciting. And that's so much fun. Queer Game Night is so much fun. And it's not just kids. It's adults and fun games. And some of them are role-playing games, and others are just funny, hilarious games. And it's great. And I've made good friends from there. And it's a wonderful way to spend a few hours.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spectacular. So you landed here, and it sounds like you had a pretty easy time to meet people and make new friends.
Yeah.
And to get involved.
Well, it was still COVID when we moved here, like pre-vaccine. So that's a very weird time to move to a new town when like everything is shuttered and people are wearing masks and people weren't going out to restaurants, everything. I remember I'd go to Oblong and like they would hand you the book, like you'd pay. There'd be like a table at the front door. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So,
those were interesting times.
I know. I would say I met the most people when I first moved here from walking my dog, Snacks, who's a little pug. I would walk him around. I lived in the village, so we would walk around the village, and I'd see people, and they'd stop me, and they'd meet Snacks, and
Snacks.
That's
so funny.
I know.
What is a group of pugs called?
A grumble. And now I have one.
So we've
added Beans and Mama. Mama is our most recent addition. She came to us with that name, but we love it. And she was actually found in a dumpster in Texas. And horrible, right? When I first met her, she was trembling, and now she's just like the happiest, chillest dog in the world. There's no amount of affection that she just loves it. She loves it. And she's just the most huggable, delicious. They're all delicious.
This is Mama.
Pugs are ridiculous. Yeah. That's Mama. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Beans? Why Beans?
What? Well, Ruby named Beans, and it's perfect for her. She's a little beanie. She's crazy. She's crazy, but she is
the dog or the daughter.
Yeah. Beans is crazy and but brilliant, and also like she's so emotional and she's so emotionally pure. Like whatever she's experiencing it with such like purity. Like the sorrow will break your heart. Her joy is just absolutely contagious. It's like you're seeing these emotions in their like unfiltered beauty, and it's incredible.
Love that.
Yeah.
Do you write about this?
My dogs?
Yeah, what you're just describing, it seems very poetic
and
lovely.
That's so nice. I don't write about my dogs, but I spend a lot of time with them. In fact, I need to pick places to be in my house where all three of them can fit. So because they all want to be where you are,
Right.
They're very they were bred to prefer like human companionship. So I'm often in my bed. Like I do a lot of things in my bed. So if I have like work on the laptop to do, I'm in bed. Emails to send, bed, because there's plenty of room for everyone in there. I knit, I read in bed. Other than that, we have to be like on the couch, I can't like sit in a chair at the table because it makes them crazy.
That's hilarious.
They're miserable.
Do they just sort of hover around your feet?
Yeah. And they feel
you?
so betrayed. They're like, what's going on? What is this?
Well, how do they deal with dinner?
With dinner,
when y'all are eating, presumably around a table.
Yes. A lot of times we'll eat standing up in the kitchen, like at the kitchen counter. But when we're eating, they totally feel betrayed. They're pawing at us. They want some of the food.
And do they get table scraps?
Sometimes.
You feed them from the table or from your standing position in the kitchen?
Yeah. Once I'm done, I'll give them if there's a little extra, I'll do it. But they know that it's possible, so they are going to spend...
Big mooches.
Yeah.
Non-stop optimists.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. They're very optimistic about...
I love that in dogs. They're like, somebody's going to drop something. Somebody's going to give me something. Somebody's going to be big and cute.
Yes, yeah, I know.
And how did you start? How'd you get the first dog? Did you grow up with dogs?
I grew up with a little toy poodle named Bianca, who was, my mother was Italian. So So because she was a white poodle, my mother gave her the Italian name for white, so Bianca. And she was great. She was a great dog. I didn't know until I was older that she was like only good to us. And if any other people came over, she would, like, she didn't like other kids. She didn't really like other people. So she was good to the family. Bianca was. Right. She was really good to the family, but, you know, not to anyone else. And then with Snacks was a crazy story because we wanted to get a pug. And I met this woman, like once I knew we were getting a pug, anytime I would see a pug in the city, I would, you know, hunt down the person and make them talk to me about their pug.
And where we all lived in the city at this point?
Chelsea. We lived in London. Do you know London Terrace?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay.
23rd Street.
Yes. So I have this theory that everyone is like at most 1 degree of separation from London Terrace. So, you know, if you don't know someone who lived there, you know someone who knows someone who lives in London Terrace. Like, it's funny. Not that.
Well, it's a huge building.
It's a huge building to the extent that it's almost like a small town. It actually has a really small town feeling to it. Like, you know, the London Terrace people.
Yeah.
So I met this woman. There was a farmer's market, a small farmer's market on 23rd Street. And there was this woman with this beautiful pug. And I said, I have to ask you, where did you get your pug? And she said, you're not going to like the answer. And I said, what's the answer? She said, Tennessee. And so she told me, you know, she's like, it's a responsible breeder. This is not any kind of, you know, puppy mill thing.
Right.
You have to be on a waiting list and all of this stuff. And so I thought, all right, you know, let's contact these people. And so we got in touch with them and we were on a list and we were going to adopt a puppy from them. And it turns out that something had gone wrong with this puppy and she wasn't okay. She had aspirated or something. And she died before we could adopt her, which was brutal. But then we saw that they had a pug who was 1 year old. This is Snacks, and he was available. And so I contacted them right away, and you know, because they didn't let me know about Snacks because they thought we wanted a puppy and all of this, and I was like, it doesn't have to be a puppy. We just want our dog. So they said, absolutely, this dog is your dog. So without telling my husband, I bought, he knew nothing about it. I bought plane tickets for me and for Ruby to fly to Chattanooga. And there's no direct flights. You can't fly directly from LaGuardia to Chattanooga. So there was a stopover in Georgia, and I bought us these flights, and Sean went to work for the day, and we just went to Chattanooga, and we got the dog, and then we flew back from Chattanooga. We were home before Sean got home.
Oh, my goodness.
And he walked in like, what's this? And we said, this is our dog, Snacks. And, you know, it's just... my feeling is better to ask forgiveness than permission. Like, I don't want to get into a throwdown, you know. So I knew that this was the right thing to do. I knew that Ruby wanted this, and that was enough. And so that's what I did.
And so you find yourself asking for forgiveness often in this marriage?
Well, that's the route that I go.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with Beans. When we got Beans, we didn't tell him. And she was so tiny. That he thought, when he first saw her, he thought it was a rodent. Like, he had no idea that this was a dog. He thought it was a bunny rabbit or something, that we had gotten a rabbit.
And is he sort of resigned to his fate, Sean?
Yeah, pretty much.
Being outvoted like you and Ruby versus...
Yeah. I mean, and also keep in mind, he works in New York City. So he's there 5 out of the 7 days a week.
Right.
So at this point, I feel like, look, for 2 days a week, we don't have to, you know, he doesn't have an equal.
But for Snacks, you were still in the city.
We were still in the city. That was, my experimenting with, you know, how far can I take this?
Civil disobedience.
Yes.
Which brings up, you seem to be sort of civically minded and protest minded and stuff.
Yes.
How did that come about? Where was the first time you thought, that's not right, I need to do something to fight it?
Oh, well, when I lived in London Terrace.
So you're an adult by now.
I'm an adult by now.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
Where were you a kid in New York City?
I grew up in a very non-neighborhood.
31st and 3rd?
Basically, 19th and 2nd.
Oh.
So it's not Gramercy Park.
Nope.
It's not the East Village. It's not even like Peter Cooper or whatever's going on further east. It's
I'm with you, yeah.
Yeah. And at least in the 30s, you have like the hospitals. It's like, that's that culture.
I lived at 31st and 3rd. It was such a non-neighborhood.
Yeah.
There was nothing there.
Kips Bay?
No, there was like a block and a half over, and that's nothing.
Right. I know. Are you Kips?
I love Kips Bay.
Oh, good. I mean, nothing to us who lived in the highfalutin 31st and 3rd area.
Yeah.
Wow. So you grew up there.
I grew up there. And I was, I feel like if I was a kid in the 80s. I was like coming of age in the 80s. So I graduated from high school in 88.
Which high school?
Fieldston.
Uh-huh.
So it's a school in the Bronx. Yeah. And do you know of it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a fun place back then, at least. And I kind of came to know of the gay community through the awfulness of HIV/AIDS, which was decimating the gay community. I mean, because I was just a kid, and so there were all of these news reports about a gay cancer and GRID and all of these things. And my father at this point lived in the West Village, so we would go to the Halloween parade and sometimes the Pride parade, but it was all.
So he didn't live with y'all?
No. I think he moved out when I was in 6th grade.
And he moved to the West Village?
He moved to the West Village.
And was he gay?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just geographically, it's a sound question.
I know. It's
That's
a
all.
fair question.
Yeah.
I think, I wish I had known enough to know to be out and protesting, even in high school, against the way the Reagan administration was dealing with the HIV/AIDS crisis.
Right.
But I didn't know that. And I didn't grow up with that culture of protest and all of that.
Right. But at the time, there was like ACT UP and Grand Fury and the Guerrilla Girls. There were plenty of people doing that.
There were. But I'm raising Ruby. Like, Ruby has been to protests when they were still in a stroller.
Right.
So I want them, this is a great thing for kids, because kids they can't vote, but they still have a political voice. They can still get out and protest. They can still make their voice heard and counted. And so I love the idea of getting kids on street corners and behind issues that they feel passionately about, because this is the only way that they can be legitimately political before the age of 18.
And is Ruby doing much of that now?
Less of that now, but Ruby was coming and protesting with me. Throughout the summer, we were protesting. There's that Saturday protest in Red Hook every week, just protesting the administration and whatever's going on. So we tried to get one going in Rhinebeck, but it never took. In any case, for 2 months, I was out there every Saturday for an hour, every Saturday from 12 to 1. Then at 1, at
the stoplight in town.
At the stoplight in town, at the Four Corners, I'd be there. And Ruby, a lot of the times, would be there with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. Did you tell Gina Walker Fox about that protest?
No.
Do you know Gina?
No.
Oh, you're going to introduce y'all? She loves a good protest.
Oh.
And she organized. I go to protests, from time to time, and half of them because Gina's like, come on, we're going to protest.
We're going. They're great, too. I mean, it's a great way to just let it all out. You just get to
also
shout.
To see a volume of people who are as upset as you are
I know,
at what's going on with this or that or the other thing.
Yeah.
It's the camaraderie, the community, the activism. It's very heartening for people.
Yeah, it is.
Huh. So is Ruby... Oh, what's going on? Wait. Oh, shit, we are out of time.
No way.
Holy crap.
Oh, my God.
I thought we had 10 minutes left.
Oh, I didn't get to do the drink thing with you.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, thanks for being here, Debbie Hecht.
It's been my
thanks for tuning
pleasure.
in.
Thank
Have a great Friday.
Yes,
and
happy
a fabulous
Friday.
weekend. Thanks to the Epicurean Hammoud. Goodbye.
Bye.